be recording this, everyone. Good afternoon. This is Sharma Torrens. It says Deborah Smith for our license, but yeah, this is Sharma Torrens, everyone. So good to see everyone. Thank you all for joining us. We've got a few other people joining us, so I might be clicking just to admit them while I'm talking. But I just wanted to say, one, thank you so much for everyone joining us. And thank you, oh, hold on, admitting a few other people. Thank you for everyone joining us. I wanted to say thank you so much to our partners for allowing us to host this and for helping us host this. So thank you to the U.S. Department of Agriculture Natural Resources Conservation Service, Nrcs. This is going to be a world of acronyms from here on out. So thank you to Nrcs, Natural Resources Conservation Service. Thank you so much, Winkleman and Redington Natural Resources Conservation District. Hold on a moment, Andy. I'm going to have you welcome the attendees in just a moment. But thank you so much to the Winkleman and Redington NRCDs, the Natural Resource Conservation Districts. Thank you to the ASU Kyle Center for Water Policy. We really appreciate you being on. And thank you to the Arizona Land and Water Trust. So thank you to all our great partners. Yeah, again, a couple of you just joined us, and I think you already know me, but this is Sharma Torrens, even though it says Deborah Smith. Yeah, and I just was thanking all our great partners for allowing us to have this workshop. I am recording this event, so just everybody knows about that. A few housekeeping things. So I'm trying to keep everybody on video because it's a smaller group, so we can all see each other. But if you take your arrow down to the bottom of the screen, there's a black menu, and that's where you can chat. So if you click on the chat button, that's where if you open that up, and then there's a little line, it says to everyone, or you can choose just a speaker down there. You can type in a question. So since I'm gonna have you muted the whole time, hit this chat button, and if you have any questions at any time, just go ahead and type those in, and I will be watching for those. And then again, I'm gonna keep everyone muted, but if you wanna control your own video and your mute, because again, I'm gonna try to have most people on video that can do this. Again, on that menu on the bottom of the screen, you hit mute and stop video, so that controls your video. So I think that's a lot of the housekeeping. I wanted to say, yeah, again, thank you so much for joining us. We have a good agenda today. I was looking at the agenda, and there's a bit of an error on it. Well, one, we're gonna have Andy Smallhouse, the chair of the Redington Natural Resource Conservation District, the NRCD, welcome us in just a moment. And then I'm going to talk about the AACD and the NRCDs. But one thing left off the agenda is I'm also going to be talking about NRCS's Conservation Stewardship Program. So that was quite a boo-boo on our end. And then we're going to hear from Emilio Carrillo, the acting DC for the NRCS out there in Tucson. We're going to hear from Sarah Porter, the director of the Kyle Center for Water Policy, and Bailey Kennett, the Desert Rivers Program Manager with Arizona Land and Water Trust. So we have a good agenda. We're going to run through quickly. And again, I'm going to be recording. But with that said, I think we're going to get back to Andy. Hold on a moment, Andy. And I think I've got you unmuted if you want to say a few words.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. This is my first time Zooming or whatever it's called, but luckily my wife's a pro at this, so she set me all up, or I'd have probably had a lot harder time. I'm Andy Smallhouse. Like Sharma said, I'm chairman of the Redington Natural Resource Conservation District, and I'm a 5th generation rancher and farmer and conservationist. I'm excited. I think this is a great workshop. I think that some of these topics are going to be very educational and interesting. And everyone, I've done a lot of these conservation NRCS programs, and I think that everyone should take advantage of them, especially in the times that we're in right now. It's really hard times for a lot of ranchers and farmers. And there's a lot of good benefits, whether it's money or just assistance. I think this would be a great workshop. Emilio is going to talk to us about that, about these programs. And I think that's great. And I also think that, of course, water policy. I'm not sure that I've met Sarah Porter, but my wife spoke highly of her and said she's very good at explaining things about the water issue. because I'm absolutely horrible at explaining things. I was talking to Bill Dunn the other day, and he's, well, what kind of issues are you facing? You know, I was trying to explain the issues, and it's so confusing. I don't know how anyone keeps up with it. And, you know, who owns the groundwater? Who owns the surface water? Are you in a red line? And all this. By the end of our conversation, I think I had Bill Dunn more confused at the beginning of the conversation. And I said, you're just going to have to talk to Stephanie or something to explain all the water issues. But it's very important, because we're, you know, setting the future for generations to come right now. There's a lot of precedent-setting cases on water. And of course, water's always been very important, but now so probably more than ever. And a lot of these cases are going to set precedents for years to come. We're one of the test cases in the state of water adjudication. We're in several different cases, but it's very important times. And even though it's confusing, everyone needs to get as educated as possible on these water issues. And I haven't met Bailey Kinnett, but I'm glad to have you here. And I'd like to thank Sharma for doing this. I think that we're so lucky to have someone like Sharma that is involved and working for the AACD, because she's the best advocate that we could ever have, coming from her background and promoting, you know, and being such an advocate for agriculture and conservation. So thank you, Sharma, for putting this workshop on. And I really appreciate it. And I'll turn it back over to you. Hopefully everyone heard what I said.
Thank you so much, Andy. Yeah, Andy is the chair of the Redington Natural Resource Conservation District, the NRCD. Again, this is a world of acronyms, but thank you so much, Andy. And I believe we heard every word. I know I did. So I'll just put you on mute now, Andy, so you don't have to worry about background noise. But thank you so much. Again, and Bill, we've got you on screen so we can see you there. Okay, there's Bill. Wanted to mention a couple things. Again, this is Sharma Torrens. I think most of you know me, but I wanted to mention one thing, and I've got, so if you have anything to say, I'm gonna put most people on mute. And then if you have any questions at the black box at the bottom of your screen, if you point your arrow down there, you see a chat. So hit that chat, and that's where you can type in any questions and we can answer them. And it looks like Rebecca De La Torre. Oh, you're having issues with connectivity. Okay, Rebecca, just try to log on. I guess she's just gonna try to log back on when she can. But yeah, if anyone has any questions, feel free to do that. Type in the chat. Because again, I'll just have everybody muted so you don't have to worry about all of this. So yeah, thank you so much again. And thank you, Andy Smallhouse, for welcoming everyone and for those kind words. I'm thrilled to be with the Arizona Association of Conservation Districts. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna share my screen, and I'm going to talk to you just for a few minutes, real briefly, about the Arizona Association of Conservation Districts. Can you all see that? Will someone nod? I hope you can. Yep. Oh, we got a thumbs up. We got it. Okay. So I want to talk about the Arizona Association of Conservation Districts, and then the Natural Resource Conservation Districts. So again, the world of acronyms. So the AACD and the NRCDs. So I am the Conservation Education Director for the AACD, which basically means that I'm here to help all the NRCDs with grants, funding, do public education outreach, and I'm here to work with one of our great partners, the U.S. Department of Agriculture Natural Resources Conservation Service, NRCS. And there's my contact information. If anyone would like to contact me, please do. I like to talk to people, especially in this environment where we can't meet each other in person. I definitely like to hear from folks. Okay, so quickly about the AACD and the NRCDs, and I just like to go through these slides to show you these great pictures too. But the AACD, the Arizona Association of Conservation Districts, so we are a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We're owned and operated by Arizona's 42 NRCDs. So we have 42 NRCDs around the state. We are owned and operated by the NRCDs, and we are there for them. So we are their support system. And basically the whole purpose is to conserve agriculture and natural resources. Okay, so this is what I like to say about the NRCDs. Well, again, I'm going to remind everybody, if you have any chat, go ahead, or any questions, hit that chat button at the bottom of the screen and type in a question, because I don't mind any interruptions at all. I welcome those. Okay, so the NRCDs, so these really are the best kept secret in the state, I'd say, because the public doesn't really know they exist, which I think is a tragedy. But basically, again, they're there to conserve agriculture and natural resources. 32 are political subdivisions of the state, so it's administered by the state land department. So Commissioner Atkins, among one of the many hats she wears, she's also our Natural Resources Conservation Commissioner for those 32. And then we have 10 tribal. Hold on a moment, we've got somebody entering the meeting. Okay. And then each NRCD is governed by 5 to 7 elected or appointed supervisors, as we call them. And basically, these are farmers, ranchers, and other volunteers giving their own time, their own free time. These are non-paid positions to conserve agriculture and natural resources. Okay, so we're moving through the screen, but it's not letting me. Here we go with technology. Hold on a moment, guys. I think we just got a glitch. Can everybody still see my PowerPoint? I hope you can. Oh, there we go. All right. See, this is what it's like, everybody. We're slaves to technology now. The internet might go out. Here's Rebecca's trying to enter again. The internet might go out. Someone's picture might freeze. You know, we might lose connection. So we have to deal with all of this stuff. But okay, basically the history of the NRCDs. So they were created after the 1930s Dust Bowl. So I don't know if y'all remember hearing about the Great Dust Bowl of the 1930s. So it's when the dust cloud was so great, swept across the Great Plains. It was caused by erosion of the soil, and it reached the capital. So hold on, do we have someone off mute? I think we've got, hold on a moment. If anyone at the bottom of the screen, hold on a moment. We're getting a little bit of background noise. Let's see.
Great. More meetings, more bills.
We're getting a little bit of background noise, everybody. Hold on a moment. Let me see who's off mute. It looks like everybody's on mute. If you go to the bottom of your screen, there's a black menu, and there's a way to mute yourself. Okay. I think you figured it out. Okay. Anyways, as I was saying, so the NRCDs were created after this Great Dust Bowl of the 1930s. And so that big dust cloud reached the Capitol, and that's when Congress and the President Roosevelt, started paying attention. And Congress declared the conservation of water and soil a national priority. And so that's what kind of started this ball rolling. 1935, the Congress, yeah, as I said, declares the conservation of soil and water a national priority. 1935, the Soil Erosion Service, which is now NRCS, was created. And then 1941, Arizona NRCDs were created. So you can see what a long history they have. And you can see kind of where they came from. And hold on a moment, we're having a little bit of technology issues because it's not going through the slides, but that's okay, I'll keep talking. Okay, so again, here's a map of the NRCDs, and this is always great to look at for everybody. So again, they blanket the whole state, but you can kind of see this. This is on our website, by the way, if anyone wants to look at this in more detail. It's aacd1944.com, and it'll be on the last screen with my contact information. But anyways, yeah, so the 1941, so the NRCDs were created. And then the State Soil Conservation Committee was created with the governor, the water commissioner, state commissioner, director of ag extension, etc. And it was this committee to oversee the NRCDs. 1944, the AACD was established. So the Arizona Association of Conservation Districts was established. And one thing left on this slide, which I'll have to mention, 1945, that State Soil Conservation Committee was dissolved. And then again, as I mentioned earlier, 32 of those NRCDs, it's now administered by the state land department. So that's when it kind of moved over there. 1946, the National Association of Conservation Districts was established. And that's kind of the main group that oversees everybody. Okay, so we already talked about how they were created after the Dust Bowl of the 1930s. Okay, so there's 3,000 of these conservation districts across the country, and in each state they're called something different. Here they're called the Natural Resource Conservation Districts, but other areas it might be the Soil and Water Conservation Districts. I believe that's the case in Texas, but there's 3,000 across the country, and that National Association of Conservation District oversees them. But the farmers, again, I like to say this, so these are farmers, ranchers, and other volunteers. Remember the non-paid positions, and they're known as supervisors that give up their time to conserve not only farms, ranches, our food supply, but also wildlife habitat, wildlife migratory corridors, water, soil, etc. Okay, and so how do they do this? So the NRCDs, basically how they get conservation work done is they work closely with private landowners and all the farmers and ranchers in their districts. So they're called cooperators, almost like members of their districts. And so they work with all the private landowners. They also work with federal, state, local agencies and other entities to get the conservation dollars. So they get the conservation dollars from all those agencies and entities, and then they work with all the private landowners in their district to get the conservation work on the ground. Another great thing about the NRCDs is they each have an education center. So basically what I say about the education center is the goal is to educate children to adults about the importance of agriculture and of conservation. So they're doing great work. They're working with all sorts of schools. They're putting on workshops for adults. They do a lot of great work. And they focus on things like best management practices and all sorts of great topics. Okay, so I'm gonna say, so you're probably gathering this, but the NRCDs are kind of the intermediaries between the private landowners. They have the connections with the private landowners, and then we work with federal, state, local agencies and other entities. One of our great partners obviously helped us put this on, and is one of our main partner is U.S. Department of Agriculture Natural Resources Conservation Service, so NRCS. So we work with them very closely. But yeah, again, so we're kind of the intermediary. But this is what I like to tell people. So let's go back a little. So remember that NRCDs, they're giving up their free time, these supervisors, and they're working to conserve agriculture as well as limited natural resources, okay? They're doing that. They also have these wonderful education centers which are educating children to adults about the importance of agriculture and of conservation, very needed as well. So those are already some great things they're doing, but there's two things I think that really make them unique. So I think that the NRCDs, one, I think they have the ability to facilitate a lot of collaborations between groups that might not necessarily have always worked together. So they appeal to conservation groups, they appeal to food groups, they appeal to folk agriculture groups, and again, groups maybe not always working together, but because the focus is conservation of agriculture and natural resources, the NRCDs have the ability to bring all these folks together. So I think that's one thing that really makes them unique. The other thing that really makes them unique is I think that the NRCDs, if the public knew about their existence, and again, remember, I don't think they do, which is a travesty, a tragedy, as I've said too. I think that if they knew about that, they would start to understand the importance of agriculture and start to view it in a positive light and understand the value of all of it, and that farmers and ranchers are the original conservationists. And Andy Smallhouse alluded to it a little bit, but I'm not going to bore you with my background, but why I think the NRCDs are the key to really educating the public about the importance of agriculture is I came from the perspective where I was a conservationist, and I'm not saying all conservationists felt the way that I used to feel, but I was very anti-agriculture. I thought agriculture was destructive to the environment, harmful to species. I didn't think very kindly or highly, I guess you'd say, of farmers and ranchers. And I didn't know where my food came from. So I think, unfortunately, a lot of people are over there. But it was 7 years ago, starting to get to work with the NRCDs. I worked with a nonprofit that works to conserve agriculture and wildlife habitat and open space, Arizona Land and Water Trust, with Bailey's on the phone with us, or on the line with us. but started to work with them, got to meet all the farmers and ranchers. But the really key thing was meeting the NRCD supervisors. And again, these really are the farmers and ranchers and other private landowners in our state. But once I got to meet them and see these farmers and ranchers giving up their free time to not only conserve the agriculture and our food supply, but wildlife habitat, open space, migratory corridors, that really blew my mind, and that had a profound impact on me. Now I'd like to think I'm one of the greatest proponents for agriculture, but it's really a passion of mine to educate the public about them, because again, I think they're the key to that. So I'm not going to bore you too much with this anymore. And again, if you have any chat or any questions, hit that black menu screen with your arrow at the bottom and hit that chat button, it'll come up. But basically, yeah, I just want you to take away, you know, NRCD, the AACD is here to support the NRCDs, and the NRCDs are vital to our state. They work to conserve agriculture and natural resources. They work to facilitate those collaborations. I think that they could really bring groups together. And again, I think they're the key to educating the public about the importance of agriculture and about where their food is even coming from. Okay, so I'm gonna put that up for just a second. So that is my contact information. Please feel free to contact me. I'm a talker, as many of you know, but I like to hear from people, especially now since we can't have this in-person contact. Okay, so with that, if everybody has my contact information down, I hope you do. And I'll say it again if anyone doesn't. I'm going to now talk a little bit, and again, it's not on the menu, or sorry, on the agenda, which it should be and should have been, because this is the main part of the program, is I'm going to be talking. Can you all see that? Someone nod if you can. Bailey? All right, good, thank you. Okay, so I'm gonna talk about NRCS's Conservation Stewardship Program. So this is a really important program. It's been underutilized in Arizona. It really has. But the 2018 Farm Bill has made some changes. It's very applicable. It can help these Western producers out here. And actually, we have a deadline coming up, which I will remind you of. We've got a June 1st deadline. So I'm trying to get producers to sign up for this Conservation Stewardship Program and really take advantage of this program and get some monies. Okay, so I'm going to go over the Conservation Stewardship Program, the origination, the purpose, the basics, the eligibility, the payment, other terms. Again, the 2018 Farm Bill, I'll tell you about that and the changes that made it apply to us out here in the West. And then I'm not going to hand out surveys. I'm actually going to email you surveys. So I'm not going to hand those out. I will email those to you. And then I'm going to talk about the deadlines. And I just mentioned the deadline, June 1st. So I'm going to be in touch with everyone after this, and you're going to know how to take advantage of this if you would like to. But basically, the CSP, I'm going to call it CSP from now on, was established in the 2002 Farm Bill. It reauthorized and modified by subsequent farm bills. And then in 2015, that's when NRCS really reinvented it to increase transparency and flexibility. Okay, so the purpose. So it's to encourage producers to address priority resource concerns and improve their conservation performance by installing, adopting conservation activities, and improving, maintaining, and managing existing activities. So basically, the way I like to say it is they're helping you enhance current activities that you're doing right now, or they would help you implement activities that you would like to be doing, conservation activities on your land. Okay, so a CSP contract is the 5-year contract. It's money and technical assistance to eligible producers. So activities include enhancements, and basically enhancements are conservation activities to enhance, again, these current conservation activities. So when I say enhancements from here on out, it's basically conservation activities that are covered under CSP. Okay, so eligibility. So there are 3 determinations that NRCS must make before determining whether you're eligible. So applicant eligibility, land eligibility, and stewardship threshold eligibility. So say that word 3 times fast, eligibility, it's a tough one. Okay, so applicant eligibility. So producers with effective control of the land. Okay, so this is one of the changes out of the 2018 Farm Bill. no longer need to be an operator of record. And you can see how this applies to our Western producers out here and everybody out in the West. Since a lot of our land is federal and state land and public land, so they're not necessarily the owner of the land, but they no longer need to be the operator of record there. Okay, and yeah, as I just mentioned, you could be tenants or owners, right? Okay, so if you're leasing BLM land, eligible. Okay, so land eligibility. So private or tribal land with ag commodities like livestock or forest related products are produced. And here's a change from before, again, from that 2018 Farm Bill. Associated lands are eligible as well. So includes public land. So you remember I just talked about you don't have to be the operator of record. Well, this is the other layer we needed out here in the West for our producers. Since a lot of it is public land, so now public land is eligible. It just has to be associated with other eligible lands, which is under the effective control of the applicant, and which is a working component of the ag operation, which for most, if not all of our producers, it is. So that's great. Stewardship threshold eligibility. So basically, level of management required to conserve and improve a quality of natural resource. At the time of the contract offer, you meet or exceed for at least 2 priority concerns and would meet or exceed for 1 additional by the end of the contract. So 2 priority concerns at the time and 1 additional by the end of the 5-year contract. Okay, and so this is renewal eligibility, and I don't know if this applies to anyone we have on the line today, but basically by the end of the renewal contract period, you meet or exceed the stewardship threshold of 2 additional priority resource concerns on the ag operation, or you implement new or improve existing activities to achieve higher levels of conservation performance for a minimum of 2 priority resource concerns, met or exceeded the initial contract. Okay, so payment. So everybody always wants to hear about this. And just so you know too, I've got some examples in just a moment so you can kind of see how this could apply to a ranch or a farm. Okay, so payments. So they're annual after NRCS's annual end, fiscal year end. There you go. Gosh, couldn't find the words. So it's after October 1st, and it's payment to maintain an existing activity and to implement additional activities, and payment for adopting one of 2 systems: resource conserving crop rotation, advanced grazing management. Okay, so remember, ranches and farms. So these are the payment limitations. A person or entity can't exceed 200,000. A joint enterprise can't exceed 400,000. Okay, so I kind of went over this. So some of the changes of the 2018 Farm Bill. So one of the things I didn't mention is it's moved under the same chapter as EQIP. So CSP and EQIP are now under the same chapter. And existing contracts will continue under a previous authority. It's no longer an acre-based program. So that was something it used to be, no longer the case. Again, public land is eligible. You don't have to be the operator of record. And renewals now will be competitive. Okay, so here we go to the examples. So here's a cropland example. So 290 acres. They agreed to do 3 enhancements: doing herbaceous weed treatment, reduced risk nutrient loss, surface water by using precision ag tech, so that's GPS, and controlled traffic to decrease compaction. And the payment they received, $15,000 a year. Remember, this is a 5-year contract. Okay, example of a ranch. So 4,500 acres, agree to do 3 enhancements. They did prescribed grazing, maintain quantity and quality of forage for ag health, and tree and shrub establishment. So basically they planted trees. Payment of $24,500 a year. So those are 2 examples. Okay, so these surveys. So one, I'm gonna email you all out some surveys, and I'd really appreciate you returning those to me about in terms of obstacles we wanna learn about Conservation Stewardship Program. And remember the biggest changes: public land is eligible, and you could be a tenant or lessee, right? But the surveys will help provide a lot of information. Okay, I'm gonna leave you with this, and I'm gonna emphasize this, and I will say this after I send you an email as well, but June 1st is our deadline, so it's coming up quickly. If anybody is interested, a producer out there online that would like to apply, I will send you an application and we could get that going. And we could get the consultation done by June 1st, because again, this has been underutilized in Arizona. We want to see producers take advantage of this program. It really is a wonderful thing to help you enhance your ag operation and put some conservation practices in effect. Okay, the other option is, and again, I'm gonna be most easily reachable, I guess you could say, because I will be in touch with you immediately after this. But you can also contact your NRCS representative, your district conservationist in your area. I've also got a link, but basically if you go Google USDA NRCS CSP, there you go with the acronyms, and it will pull up a bunch of information. And then I've got a contact information for Marcus Muniz. He's the acting assistant state con, and I spelled his name wrong. Sorry about that, Marcus. But basically, again, if you're interested, I will be in touch with you, and let's get this going because we want to see you take advantage of this.